Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. And tonight is our legend segment. And tonight we have another Delray legend. Mr. John Angus Davis is with us tonight, better known by his friends as Cho Cho. Cho, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for being here, Bobby, man. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to be here tonight, to spend some time with you, and just look
Absolutely.
forward to, man, talking about what it was like to grow up in Delray.
Man, I tell you, when I think about growing up in Delray, man, it's so many of us, right?
Yep.
And so I tell my friends, we'll never run out of people to talk to on this show.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's for sure.
No doubt about it.
Well, let's get this straight up front because I don't know the answer to this question. I need to ask this question for myself, right?
Okay.
John Angus Davis.
Right.
Where did the name Cho Cho come from?
Okay. Interesting that you asked that. Okay, so there was a gentleman out of Boynton that was a bigger, older guy that had went to Carver.
Mhm.
And they called him Chocho. And remember, one of my arms don't extend as full as the other. So Randy Grover gave me that nickname, Little Chocho. Okay, and it stuck because Randy Grover was
Wow.
a next door neighbor, and then from that, that's how I got the name Chocho.
Wow. Because that's funny, man. My dad always talk about, nicknames, right? Sometimes nicknames, we don't know people's real names, right?
Right.
Sometimes. You think about Mo Wesley, right?
So yeah, no doubt.
Unless you
Go
went
Jack Bernard.
unless you went to school with them, you don't know their real names,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Mutt Lee.
That's right. That's right. No doubt.
Man, well, good. I'm glad you cleared that up. But man, you and I go back. You're 1 year ahead of me in school.
Yeah.
And you and I go back, even way back in the Spady days. I can remember you in the Spady days. But you grew up in a section of Delray, Jefferson Manor, right? And that's a great area of town for athletes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just telling y'all right now. We know every time I get somebody from Delray on the show, Cho, we talk about who had the best ball players on what side of town, right?
Well, we have Anthony Penn, so that's
hey, that's it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
You don't get no better than that, right?
The beauty of growing up in Jefferson Manor and both Ponciana, where your relatives were.
Right.
We were less than 150 yards from the park, man.
Right
so
there, man. Absolutely.
The park was right there. I could remember going right out there to play basketball, going to Teen Town to play ping pong.
Yes.
We would jump the fence and go play tackle football.
Right.
Okay. And it was there. My little running crew back at that time was Van Williams, Scatterred Williams, Mark Williams, Tony Carnegie, Larry Dowdy, Bernard Dowdy. That was our crew.
It's amazing, man. When I think about the athletes in Jefferson Manor, of course, I always start with Penn, but Anthony got a brother named William who was a great athlete.
Yes, sure was.
Right.
Sure was.
And you had the greatest Delray Rock of all time, Snake Robinson.
Snake Robinson, and no doubt about it. Snake was so good. St. Andrews came and recruited him while he was in high school.
Got him out of there, right? Got him out of there, man. And so you had Snake, you had Scatterred, you had Van, you had his brother Mark. Yeah. I mean, you had Grover, Pop Grover.
You had Pop and Randy Grover. You had Pop Johnson around the corner.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Curtis Williams.
Yep.
I mean, we can go on and on and on, man, about the athletes that's right there in that little small community.
Yep.
And then you go one street over, go past the park, one street over, and you got Smitty Boo, you got Toot Mitchell, you got Vic Mitchell, you got Bernard Wilson, you got all those groups of people, man. And that, man, it was talent everywhere. Let me say that. It was talent everywhere.
When I think about those days, Bobby, the thing that I remember the most, because you talk about how sports sets you up for life, right? Mm-hmm. And I think about the passion that came out of that community, because I remember I started playing with the Delray Rocks at 9 years old. Exactly. And we used to practice at Plumosa back then.
Plumosa, right?
We walked 2.3 miles. I looked it up on the GPS. We walked 2.3 miles one way to go to practice. That's how much we wanted to play and be involved in sports.
And it's amazing. We look forward to walking.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, it was not community. Exactly. We were not even thinking about, how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
My mama can't take me, so I can't go to practice. Dude, we got our uniform. We walked.
Yes, we did.
We walked all the way to Plumosa and back.
And made sure we always stopped by those sea grape trees on Swinton and got a couple sea grapes to go home.
Some sea grapes, and then and sometimes we stopped. We got some mangoes from people's.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah.
So, man, it was an adventure, man. It was a great time for us growing up in Delray. And it's amazing because I've had several guys on the show that outdates the Delray Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Like Red Odom, Bill Caesar. A lot of those guys, Oswell, Baldwin, Herman Bain, they've all been on the show, and they talk about, because all I could think about is how we grew up in the streets, but we also grew up playing rock ball, right? And so that was our outlet to play organized ball at an early age. So my question to them is, well, what do y'all do? You didn't have rock ball, so what do you do? And they said that they had, each community pretty much had a team. Mrs. Zach, would take some kids and they played tackle football in different places and like that. But they said when you get on Carver High's football team, you may get on like in the 8th, 9th grade, but you just get your brains beat in for 3 or 4 years, right? Before you get your opportunity. Right. And so, and I can see that because even back then, you start talking about the athletes. Man, that's one thing we're not lacking in that little community, is especially football athletes.
Right.
And baseball athletes, right? And so we talk about all the great players, but then I also remember watching Carver High when I was in elementary school, but also listening to Seacrest play on the radio, and you had people playing at Seacrest like Dennis Matthews.
Yep.
You had people like Ronnie Mack over there. You had Big E, Ernest Williams over there. Simmy Taylor. I mean, you had
and my cousin from Boynton, Doug Davis, played there.
Listen, you know what? I got to tell you this, man. I just found out something that's just amazing, right? Delray is a small town, right? I always tell my mom, they all came from the farm. I said, there's a lot of speakers on the farm. I just found out that Doug Davis is related to me. Yeah. So that means you are related to me.
Yeah, that's what it means. No doubt about it. Yeah.
That's amazing. His grandfather is my uncle, George Taylor.
And his grandmother, Aunt Pearlie, was my grandfather's brother and sister. Yeah.
Wow, man. That's crazy, man. That is crazy.
I can remember listening to, because Doug was my cousin. So I can remember listening to the radio to listen to Seacrest, even when we couldn't go to the games with Carver sometimes. Like, going back up then, we weren't allowed to go to Blanche Ely or Belglade. One of those games we couldn't go growing up. But those were great games. I tell you, when I think about the Carver days and all of the games I remember back in the Carver days, I remember it was homecoming one year and John F. Kennedy came in. Wow. Carver won the game, but Boosie Coleman ran 3 touchdowns.
Boosie Coleman, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was a special athlete.
He was a special athlete, man.
And I saw Ronald Robinson come to Carver Gym and score about 50 points on Barry Hill. I mean, just some of the overall talent that you just saw all the way around in that whole area, in that whole county, no doubt.
It was amazing, man. And I can remember everything almost like it was yesterday, right? Yeah. It was so fun and so inspiring for me, man. It was like, how can I say it? It was the thing that kept me going, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And we lived at one time we lived in Carver Park, and I can get in my room and take my binoculars, and if the ball came on one hash mark, I can see a little bit of the game, right? Yeah. And things like that, but you can hear the band all over town. So it was strong. Now, so when we think about that, so let's go back to that, because it's the point I want to make, right? Mm-hmm. So we think about all that talent back then. Seacrest had a lot of it.
Yeah.
All right. And I think about the first state championship team at Carver. I think about the backfield in particular. You had Pop Grover. Mm-hmm. You had Abraham Wooten.
Right.
And you had the GOAT, Greg Dobson.
Greg Dobson, that's right.
All in the same backfield.
Yep.
And of course, Penn on the center. And then, you had Randy Strong alternating in at fullback.
And don't forget Big Daddy Hunt blocking and Barry Hill picking everything Penn throw his way.
It's crazy, man. I mean, you think about that. So let's think about that now. Let's go back. So we think about those three. Uh-huh. Now, at Seacrest at the time, Dennis Matthews was in the same class as Greg Dobson and Abraham Wooten and Pop Grover.
Okay.
So he's over there. He's a leading rusher at Seacrest, right? And a track star. He had all the track records. Uh-huh. He had most of the track records when I got to Atlantic High School.
Okay.
He did. So so you had that, and so where were all those guys playing? If they're on the same team, where would they play? So, Cho, I gotta say this. You find ways, to some of those guys would have had to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be offensive stars. There's only one football, right? And so when I look at that, and then I go and start thinking about our class, the 76, 77, 75 class, that come out of that Boca High and an Atlantic High, where would all those guys play?
It would have been very difficult. Just to give you an example, Bobby, here I'm living in Oklahoma. Here in Oklahoma, there's two programs called Jinx and Union, right? They've won probably 13 state titles.
Okay.
But they grow the school, but they never expand the program. Whereas in Oklahoma City, and even where I live in Edmond, we've gone from one high school to 3 schools. Now there are 3 quarterbacks that got a chance to play, to your point, as opposed to 1. And a lot of kids got opportunities that would not have got opportunities that played at Jinx or Union. They may have won titles, but they never got a chance to build a character that sports allows you to build.
Oh, absolutely. And then I can remember this too. And tell me if you experienced this at Boca. We had guys at Atlantic that wouldn't play until their senior year because they didn't want to sit the bench.
That's true. Yeah, same thing.
Now, the greatest athlete, I played with a lot of great athletes, but in high school, the greatest athlete I played with was Mo Wesley.
Right. Oh, he was special.
He was special. But Mo never played football for 1 year at Atlantic.
He only played baseball 2 years.
Okay.
And Mo was so fast that if the ball made one hop in the infield, Mo was safe. That's what got Mo drafted. And remember, Mo decided to go and play football, as opposed to playing baseball.
That's right.
Mo's real calling was baseball. Mo was
he was special. And then he also, like when we can line up the baseball game and the track meet, he would come give us points and give us points in the track meet. So he was that kind of a guy, right? Yeah. And so where Mo playing it today? Well, we need him at the track. Can we get him, And so he'll come over, man, and do something. If it's 100, 200, quarter. I mean, he's even run the quarter and came and got us points, man. So he was a great athlete. And I think about another guy who, I don't know, I'm quite sure you know about him, right? Chuck Jones was another guy.
No doubt, Chuck. Chuck played baseball too.
Chuck was a great baseball player, but he stopped when he got in high school.
Yeah.
So Chuck, and then this is what I found out about Chuck not long ago, recently, that he actually could have graduated in your class.
Okay.
He was upper class. He was a young guy.
Yeah.
And I go, man, you kidding me? I said, man, if you would have stayed, we probably could have won state.
No, that's right. Yeah, Chuck was special. I mean, Chuck was a natural athlete. You talk about Mo. Some of the as soon as you mention Mo's name, the image that always comes back is back to the Delray Rock. Remember, Mo was so small, they didn't have a uniform to fit him. So if Delray would bounce, his pants would be falling, he'd still be running 80 yards.
Still be running 80 yard touchdowns. Exactly. Yep. I mean, he was that kind of guy. So Cho, let's talk about this now. Now you grew up. We played football together. But your game was baseball.
Yes, it was.
Right. And so who was the influences in your life with baseball? Was it because the park was right there and you played a lot? How did you get influenced to really take that game?
So here's my baseball story, right? Mm-hmm. So actually, my older brothers, they weren't really into sports. Mm-hmm. So I was playing like sandlot ball and doing some of those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And my mom took me out there to Red Odom and said, hey, teach this boy how to play the game.
Wow.
And Red Odom was the one that taught me. And I can remember, like, here's the way Red taught me how to play baseball. Mm-hmm. He said, the only way you're going to be good at this game is you don't fear the ball. And he put me, I'm left-handed, but he put me in a catcher's suit.
Okay.
Backed me up against the fence and stood maybe about 20 yards away.
Okay.
And just hit line drives. Wow. Stop it. And by the end of the day, it was a challenging day, but he came back and said, you know what? You still here.
You're still here.
And within 2 days, I no longer feared the baseball. And once I lost fear of the ball, I was able to go play. The game became easy.
That's amazing, man, because baseball is the only sport that never called my name out, right?
Yeah.
And so I can go see you play at the park. I can see Joe Cheney. I can see all my friends play. Johnny Haynes, Lawrence Strange, they all play. I can go and watch a game and didn't feel like I had to be out there. But I gotta tell you, I had a fear of the ball. Okay. I really had a fear of the ball. So I never got the opportunity to play because I never went to my dad and said, I want to play baseball, right?
Right.
Now, had I got out there with you guys, I know just that peer pressure is everything, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
When I caught on, I go, hey, I can't be the Bad News Bears kid here. So, but
he had a different calling for you. Okay, your calling was football and track.
That was it, man, and I loved it too. And and it was amazing how we evolve into the things that we're called to do, right? Yeah. And it's not by accident, you know. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this story. When I was in the 8th grade, I had to go home from middle school, and no, 7th grade. I had to hurry up and get home from school. And some of my friends kept asking me, well, "Why you gotta hurry up and go home? We're gonna go play some basketball." I said, "Man, I gotta go home. I gotta wash them dishes, them breakfast dishes, and I gotta make sure I vacuum the floor, right?" Yeah. So this dude Jasper Williams said, "Man, if you keep doing that, you're gonna be like a little woman, right?" Right. Yeah. And so it scared me. I took it literal. I go, "Man, that means if I keep doing that kind of work, no." So I stopped and I signed up for everything. So I signed up for golf. Of course, you know I couldn't do that, right? Yeah. Never played golf. I went out for baseball. Mr. Hurst had me out there baseball. I never played Little League baseball. So I couldn't do that, right? Yeah. And then next thing you know, I found the track and found a home, man. Just found a home immediately because not only could I run, but what I was good at was long jumping. A lot of people don't know I was a long jumper, and I had to set the county record in the middle school. I was a good long jumper. So that's how I got involved with that and really found a home. So baseball became your sport. And so now when you first started, what position did you play your first year in baseball?
My first year, I was 8 years old, and they stuck me in right field because I was the youngest person on the team. Okay, so you know, they hired you in right field.
You hired everybody in right field.
Right. And Red Odom was actually my first coach. And really? I'll never forget because I was so young. Every time I used to go to bat, he put the bunt signal on and make me bunt all year long. I had Bobby, the last game I got the swing, right? Finally. And I hit a line drive, and Lil Jap caught it at shortstop and stuff like that. And so I ended up with a 0.000 batting average as an 8-year-old. Okay,
oh my God,
but then later on in life, that turned out to be pretty productive.
Absolutely.
So after that year, I started playing for John Ramsey. Okay. And Kurtwood was helping us with the team.
That's right.
And I actually had a first base mitt. I wanted to play first base. Okay. And Kurt would say, "No, you left-handed. I'm going to teach you how to pitch." Because Kurt was left-handed too. And Kurtwood actually was the person that taught me how to throw a curveball. And you know, for me, the curveball was my pitch.
Oh, that was your pitch, man.
That was my pitch.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Man, you know, it's amazing, man. You know, like I said, I should go see y'all play, man, and be so happy just to be outside the fence, you know, watching you guys play. So when you play, so it started with Red Odom for you, right?
Right, start with Red Odom at 8.
You know, it's amazing for me, and you know, Red, you know, he don't like to take credit for this, but man, you got to give him his roses because that man has helped so many people in the city of Delray. I can't even explain it. You know, because he also coaches in football as well, right. At Delray Rocks, and he was the one who taught me how to tackle. You know, that year I sat the bench playing with Toot and, you know, Bubba Brown, all them, the older guys. You know, I sat the bench, and at the time I thought it was actually the worst thing in my life. I thought my life was over. I'm sitting the bench. It didn't feel good, but I remember sitting the bench. But every night, Red put me on the defense, and basically I learned how to tackle.
Right.
Couldn't see the future, you know, couldn't see the forest for the trees at the time. I was still angry, but I go to high school, the end of my 9th grade year, I go out for spring, thinking I'm going to play JV, and end up getting a starting job playing free safety on the varsity, you know, as a 10th grader, you know, because I learned how to tackle two seasons before that, right? Yeah. And then all that quarterbacking I did in high school, it didn't mean anything to college recruits, you know, because I didn't get, I just got a few opportunities to play quarterback for wishbone teams.
Right.
Which I'm like, that's, you know, you're not gonna stereotype me that way. So I just decided to go and do what I do and play defense, and you know, and it worked out for me. But it
Well,
all started with red on.
given what you did your senior year, where almost
Mhm.
every ball you intercepted, you ran back for a touchdown.
Exactly.
Why would they put you on the offensive side of the ball? Okay?
Well, you got a point. You got a point.
You had a natural innate ability to
Mhm.
go to the football
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah.
And I tell you, when I look back just in time, Bobby, and I look at people, and we all recognize there were some amazing athletes, okay,
Mhm.
that came through Delray, and the most talented person, most people don't even know who that person would be, right?
Exactly.
Because there's so
Exactly.
much talent.
Exactly.
But the fact that you
Mhm.
was passionate about being
Mhm.
disciplined, the
Mhm.
fact that you put the work in,
Absolutely.
okay, the
Mhm.
fact that you listened to people and you were teachable,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
it put you in the situation that you came up to. And
Absolutely.
that's the thing I just try to tell young people now. You know,
Mhm.
when I look back, you talk about Red Odom, you
Mhm.
know, I can't be more prouder than my younger brother Eric, you know, just from the standpoint that Eric's calling wasn't to go and be on the field.
Right.
Eric's calling was to mentor young men
And
and turn them into
yes,
men. Football is the avenue he uses, but it's
absolutely.
to take young men who everybody says, hey, they don't have an opportunity to do
Mhm.
this or that, and
Mhm.
and show them that they can be something in life.
Well, I tell you, he's the Bump Mitchell of Delray Rock, man. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you, because you know what he has done, even when he was coaching in high school.
Yeah, I agree.
The young men that he coached in high school, you know, you just can't, man, you can't put a price on that. You
Right.
just can't put a price on that. And when I think about the men who coached me and mentored me, you know, sometimes it just brings tears to my eyes.
Right.
You know, that these people, that God placed these people in my life to help me, because no matter what we think about somebody, you know, how it turned out for someone, what kind of athlete that they are,
Right.
you know, you can't do anything without the help of somebody.
That's right.
You got to have somebody helping you.
Without,
You got to.
I never played under Bump,
Mhm.
but both Toot and Vic were my very good friends.
Yes.
So I ate a lot of dinners at their table.
The
So
table.
Bump taught me how to be a man and how to have manners. Okay.
Absolutely.
And he taught me life skills. And
Amen.
that's the thing that I think was the most
Mm,
important back in that day, was the life skills that
mm,
that we got taught as
mm.
individuals. And
Absolutely.
it was my I so what was odd about my growing up.
Mhm.
So I'm going to share. You know, there were some struggles on some people growing up at
Right.
Boca, right? But
Mhm.
listen to this: sixth grade, I went to Spady.
Mhm.
Seventh grade, I went to Delray Junior High. They was
Okay.
fixing up Delray Junior High. So eighth grade, they sent us to Boca Junior High.
Okay. All
In
right.
ninth grade, we went to Boca High. So
Mhm.
in 4 years, we went to 4 different
Different
schools,
schools.
four
Right.
different environments.
Mm,
And if you didn't have the community we had behind us
mm.
to back us, a lot of people would have got lost in the shuffle in that kind of
Well,
situation.
and I gotta say this too, man. When we think about that time, right?
Yep.
Because you know, I'm still kind of like confused about what happened to you guys when y'all left Spady in the seventh grade. So you went to
Derry Elementary.
Delray Elementary,
I mean Derry Junior High. Derry Junior High.
At Atlantic High, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it was, in the
Right.
annex building. So
Right.
you went there for a year
We went there for a year.
before you went to Boca
Right.
Junior High.
Because it got a little ugly. It got a little ugly over there. So they say, okay, we need to separate them and send them to Boca.
Right, right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. But man, I tell you, so I got to ask you this question.
Okay.
Well, first of all, let me say this too. You talk about life skills, right?
Uh-huh.
Because those men, not only did they coach us, or because our community, because of our community, we spent time sometimes in their homes.
Yeah.
You know, but in that small community, even if you were out in the street, if your mother saw me doing something wrong, she had the right to discipline me in the street.
Oh yeah.
That's just the way it was with everybody.
No
I
doubt.
mean, it truly took a village, and we were a village,
Yeah,
right?
we were. Yes, we were.
Every adult can speak into your life. Now, you talk about life skills, even from some of our teachers, Grace Lycurgus.
Oh yeah.
I can't,
Oh man.
bro, I can't, bro,
She brought the heat multiple times.
bruh, I can't tell you how many times I touched my toes or
Yeah, I know that's right.
raised my hand in the back of the trash, bro.
Yeah.
You know, but man, the life skills she taught
Yeah.
us, you know, it was a different time.
Yes, no doubt.
And I tell you, I tell you, I really missed, and it's something. It hurt back then when we didn't get an opportunity to go to Carver High.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that, but it hurt, you know. And I know for me that I never got a chance to play for Coach Coffey because I lived in their home.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know, we used to live right
Larry
behind.
grew up together. Yeah.
Yeah, we live right there, and you know, Larry and I have been best buddies since first grade.
Mhm.
So you know, to not have that opportunity, to not be able to do the thing that Penn did, right?
Right.
In the same place, and
Good.
so it was tough. But we did have teachers and you know and people like that, like Miss Hudson. I know you still
Uh-huh.
in contact
Yeah.
with Miss Hudson, and there's some great educators from our community that had a lot of impact on our lives as well.
Well, I know at Boca High, Bobby, we had Kelly Brown,
Mhm.
we had Durton, we
Yes.
had Miss Farrington,
Oh
and we
man,
had your mom to keep us all in place. Okay.
wow, man.
And I mean that, you know, for a very soft-spoken person,
Mhm.
she brought a lot of respect. When your mom spoke, people listened because we knew when she said something, we knew we was out of line.
Right, amen,
And they constantly reminded us that we were
Mhm.
from Delray and to
Mhm.
carry ourselves a certain way
Right,
and to
that's right.
represent our community well.
That's right. I mean, yeah, man. What can you say? I mean, yeah, you know that's valuable, and you know, and we never forget those times because it was a different time for us.
No doubt
It
it
was a
was.
different time in the nation, right? We
Yep,
think
yes,
about
it
it
was. Yes, it was.
from the whole. It was just a
Yes, it was.
it was a crazy time too because we had some assassinations in the late '60s,
Yep.
right? And so we lived through that, you know, our elementary school days, you
Mm-hmm.
know, hearing about that, and then you know when we integrated, when you guys had to go to Boca, you know, I know it was tough down there, right? It was
Yep.
tough down there. So
You know, but one of the things I always say, Bobby, everything worthwhile is uphill, right?
yes, sir.
Life is always difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
if you embrace the uphill,
Mm.
you can deal with it.
Bro,
And
you said a
and
mouthful there.
and at Boca, even though it was an uphill battle,
Mhm.
I met some great people as a result of that. One of the
Yes.
families that I got to know really well was the Neoporte family,
Okay.
and Tom Neoporte had played professional golf, and he
Okay.
played with
Wow.
Jack Nicklaus. And
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
growing up, spending time around the Neoporte, I
Wow.
got to meet the Nicklaus kids and some of the
Wow.
others,
Wow.
and
That's amazing.
I learned to assimilate for what the
Mhm.
world had in front of me before
Ah,
that.
there you go.
So even in those times that were
Mhm.
considered tough times,
Mhm.
there were lessons to be learned out of that to prepare us for the future.
For the future. Amen. Amen. Bro. Boy, look at here. You're preaching good right now. That's good stuff right there. So all right. So I want to talk about somebody because this person is special,
Okay.
and I've always admired her. Right.
Okay.
Um, I didn't know her, but I watched your mom
Uh-huh.
over the years, and when I look at all of you,
Okay.
every one of you guys have been successful in life. Every one of her children. So what it was like, man? What was she like as your mom, your parent, man? Because she was an amazing woman.
Yes. So here's how I started out. Okay.
Mhm.
She was tough because it was 5 boys in the house. So
Yes,
she
sir.
had to put the fear in us to keep us in line, right? So she was tough. But
Mhm.
at the same time, Bobby, she
Mhm.
was always present. There was never a
Yes, sir.
moment when there was a PTA or something involving school. Even
Right.
if she may have needed the money, she
Mhm.
was gonna let us know she was gonna be present and hold
Mhm.
us accountable.
Wow.
And I thank people for Miss Wesley, Shirley Plummer, those
Yeah.
people, they put their arms around mom and
Mhm.
they taught mom how to help with the Roots Festival and do those
Mm.
things.
Okay.
What the thing when I look back on my mother's life,
Mhm.
the legacy that I walk away with
Mhm.
is she was a person of service. You know,
Yes.
she Sunday school and not so much just I think most of our success has come as a result of
Mhm.
our desire to want to serve others. It's
Amen.
lifting the next person up. Okay. Somebody helped us get up. So it's
Yeah.
our responsibility to reach back and help others get up. And
Amen.
she was an amazing woman.
Mhm.
I remember times when there would be food on the table, and
Mhm.
she was but I know I won't go that far, but
Mhm.
she was also a praying woman.
Amen.
There were times, Bobby, when we would have food on the table. We barely have food to eat. And one of our neighbors, won't call her name, would come and say, Carrie, I don't have anything to feed the kids. And she'd take the stuff off of our table and give it to them. And then my Uncle Herman, he worked at the Delray patio. And that same night, I would hear Mom praying and say, Lord, I don't know where my next meal gonna come from. And I'd hear a rap on the door. Okay? We had a big party tonight. Here's the food.
The Lord provides, man.
He always provided, man.
He always provides, man.
He provided, and she taught us that people are going to respect you by doing things the right way. You know, there are no shortcuts in life. I look back at, some people ask me sometimes, they say, what was it like to be sometime in your childhood? I say, well, my first job I ever had, I had to help pay a bill. They say, that was interesting. I say, something? I say, at the time it happened, I said, man, this don't seem fair. But what it taught me was, because I never got to ever spend my entire paycheck, it made learn how to save easy.
Amen. Amen.
And it set me up for the future.
Amen. Amen. See, that's it right there, man.
Yeah.
Right there. That's it, man. Man, she was just an awesome woman, man. I can't say enough about her. And then and so tell me this, all right? So outside of her, what was it like having older brothers? Because see, I never experienced that, right?
Okay.
In my life. Okay. I'm the oldest, right?
Okay, right, yeah.
So I always admire people who have older brothers, right?
Right. So James spent most of his high school career up in Jersey.
Yeah,
he kind of came in later. Now Lester was the drum major. So because Lester was the drum major, everybody knew I was Lester's brother. So I can remember when we'd be watching down the street with Carl and watch Lester and Rittler out there doing
their thing, boy.
Out there doing their thing. And so just watching them model, and then Bo Peep was always a hard worker. So the work ethic piece was the piece that I got from him. So I think that the big thing is just always having somebody to show you the way.
Right. Look up to
like I tell people a lot of times that know all the whole family. I said, my thing in sports was only to just show Eric the way to be a part of young men's lives.
Right.
Because I did it. It made him want to do it. And look where it got him. Yeah.
Oh man, no doubt about it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I went down to see him, see his team last fall for homecoming.
Yeah.
Man, look, man, when I left there, man, I was on a high. Yeah. Because his team reminded me of our teams.
Yeah, no doubt.
Think about it now. So think about it. Think about every team we played on with the Rocks.
Yep.
Every team had 3 or 4 guys who any one of them touch the ball can go to distance.
Go to distance, no doubt.
Eric had 4 kids like that.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I thought about was when I played with Bump, me, Van, Bernard Parker, and P. Nanny.
Right. Okay.
First thing I thought about, I said, man, they got 4 too, right?
Yeah.
And it was amazing, man. And then to see the way he coached them.
Yep.
Man, it was amazing. I mean, he was coaching them. And then, he broke it down to me one time, what his practices were like. Uh-huh. Man, Eric got them, he got them going, bro.
Yeah.
He got them going.
So 2 weeks ago, Bobby, they had bye week. Eric said, no, ain't no off weeks around here. So his team kept practicing while a few teams took some time off. But
no.
He coached him hard because all he knows is Bump.
That's all he knows.
Coached him hard. So that's what he's doing what he learned. He's doing what he learned.
And the disciplines in his life. We talk about the disciplines you had at home, how your mom, raised y'all. But thinking about it, most all of y'all went to the military.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, all of them but me.
But you're the only one.
Only one,
Your baby sister.
Yeah, that's right. Sure did. Yeah.
How many years she get in?
I think Jennifer did 23 or 24. One of the two. Yeah.
Man, I'm talking about amazing, man. I mean, that's amazing. So you think about the disciplines from serving. You said it earlier, from serving others, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. I'm in seminary school right now.
I'm excited for you, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm excited too because over the years, I was told you don't have to go here, but I needed to. The time is right, and so I need to be there. And some of the things that I'm learning, man, it's exciting. A lot of it is about discipline, church discipline, right?
Right. Okay.
So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about that. So all right, so you go to Boca High, right? And you're playing baseball at Boca High.
Yeah.
And you're pitching. name some of the guys that was on the team with you. Who were pitchers with you at Boca High?
So pitchers with me was a gentleman by the name of Any Wright. Any grew up with us. Danny Wepner. Danny ended up pitching at Palm Beach Community College. John Freed. Never seen John Freed even put a jacket on. He'd go out there and throw the ball 90 miles an hour. Khrushchev played 1 year and then he didn't play.
Right.
But the guy that mentored me really pitching was Bozo Pratt. Both at the par. Bozo taught me the slider. Bozo taught me all the pitches and location of pitches and how I needed to become successful as a pitcher. I learned that through them.
I tell you, Bozo was a special player.
Yes, he was.
He was a special pitcher, and he was him and at Atlantic, him and Danny
Tidwell
were on the same roster.
Yeah,
think about that. And Jeff Morrison was a puppy at the time.
See, Jeff and I grew up in competition always. Jeff and I always grew up in competition. Yeah.
Wow. So I saw a picture not long ago. Oh man, I saw a picture. I wish I had it ready for the show.
Okay.
All of you guys in I don't know if it was Pony League or what it was. All of you guys, man, it was a special picture, man. Special picture. Okay. So I take photos like that, and I like to put them up on my wall, right?
Okay.
So that when people come to my house, they ask me, "Well, who are these guys right here?" Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then I can go into my spiel, man. I'm telling y'all, Delray, we got the best athletes on the planet. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm not going into my spiel. So you learn a lot from Bozo.
I learned a lot from Bozo.
Wow.
And guess who helped Bozo, which a lot of people don't think. Red had a great relationship with Rick Rhoden, and Rick Rhoden would come out and work with Bozo on certain things. Yes.
Man, that's special. That's special. Now, Rick Rhoden, you
talk about an athlete. You talk about an athlete.
Listen, Cho, I'm not afraid to say anything. If somebody's great, they're great. Rick Rhoden might be the best athlete to ever come out of Delray.
He's good. He's special.
When you think about what he did in professional baseball,
yes,
not only how he pitched the ball,
right,
but to this day, he's an all-time leading hitter by a pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he was special.
No other pitcher has hit more balls or got on base more than Rick Rhoden.
And he's a scratch golfer.
And he's a scratch golfer.
Rick had the injury, so he couldn't run very fast. But Rick averaged he averaged probably about 20 points a game in high school. He played with the Price boys.
Greg Price. That's right.
Greg Price and Steve Price.
That's right. Yeah. I had Coach Price on, Warren Price and his son Greg had them on the show, and they were just telling me all these stories about the guys. I had no idea,
Yeah.
Rick Rhoden was a great baseball player, and the argument is, had he played football, that my buddy Steve Harden might have not hit the field. And Coach Harden was a real quarterback now.
Yes, he was.
Steve threw that ball now because Steve coached me at Atlantic. Gotcha. Matter of fact, I got to tell you a quick story. The old, and it's still at the Atlantic High now, the new Atlantic, the statue.
Y.A. Tittle.
Y.A. Tittle. I thought that was Steve Harden.
I like it.
I'm not kidding you because I never connected the dots, and it never had the plaque. It never said that it was Y.A. Tittle.
It sure didn't.
So I see number 14 in Atlantic or Seacrest uniform.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's got to be Steve Harden. He's the best quarterback ever come out of here, right?
Right.
So for years, man, until somebody told me, I was so disappointed though when they told me. I was really disappointed.
The thing I admired about the way Connie Wilder coached you guys at Atlantic is the best players hit the field. Yeah. And a lot of y'all played both ways. Whereas that luxury wasn't there
for you guys.
Boca High.
Right.
And as a result of it, you guys had a chance. You guys excelled and thrived. Okay, as opposed to, I think some people probably left a little frustrated.
Right.
But it was just the way things were set.
It's the way things were. Well, I tell you,
no doubt about it.
Well, one of the things that Coach Wilder did, and to me, it was really crazy. I still don't agree with this philosophy. You sometimes you can't disagree with your coach. Right?
Sure, yeah.
All right, so we talk about all the talent we had in both schools, right?
Right.
I couldn't imagine us being together because when I think about you guys, when I start thinking about the backfield, I think about Doug Parker. I think about Fred Gaines. I think about Vince Strong. I think about Van. I think about Curtis. It was a Curtis. What was the guy named Williams from Boca? I think
Eddie
about
Williams.
Eddie
Eddie
Williams.
Williams.
I
Eddie
think
Williams.
about all those guys. Alvin
Right.
Price. Alvin
Right.
Price.
Right.
You know, it's only one football.
Right. Yeah.
It's only one football. I'm quite sure there's some other players that I don't know who play from Boca who played.
Right.
You know, what do you do with all that? And so, you know, what Coach Wilder did, though, he played his best athletes both ways.
Yes, he did.
But now here's what hurt us. Every year we played in the semifinal. We got at least 2 guys hurt.
Okay.
Played both ways. We only carried 28 on the team. He would never carry more than 28. So we had a small squad.
Okay.
So you think about when you got 2 guys going both ways get hurt in the semifinal.
Yeah, that's big.
So you got to replace 4 positions now with guys who never really played the game. You know, and so that was the only thing I didn't like. And I thought we were, from a skill position wise, we had enough people to play, you know, like for instance, well, Don Monroe was the starter his senior year at corner, right? Mm-hmm. We had so many guys like that who could have played defense, right?
Right.
That could have played good defense as opposed to just sitting the bench.
Right. Gotcha.
Right. And so that's the only thing that I didn't like. I thought we should have carried, you know, at least 40, right?
Gotcha. As
opposed to 28. We'll have in the spring, man, we'll have 300 kids come out for spring football. I'm telling you. And he cut every one of them.
Wow.
He cut every one of them, man. You know, we had so many people out there, and then he always had this thing, you got to be tough to be an Eagle, right? I'm like, man, come on, man. Yeah. You need to keep some of these bodies out here, right? Yeah. At least some of them, man. So, but anyway, it was a good time. It was fun for us to, you know, I remember going, you know, playing at Atlantic, playing for Coach Wilder. And Coach Wilder was a no-nonsense guy now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't mess around. I mean, he wasn't your friend. You knew that day one. I don't care if you're the quarterback. I mean, even when Lee Wilder, his own son, was quarterback in my 10th grade year, I mean, he'd be in his face like he, you know, I mean, he'd be riding him hard, right? So he wasn't a friend to anybody, but he was our coach. And he was a disciplined guy, you know. And then we had younger guys on the staff like Coach Harris, you know, Coach Harris.
Yeah, I remember Coach Ed.
O-line and linebackers coach. We had Phil Henson on the roster. And then probably the toughest coach we had was a guy named Coach Baldwin, you know.
Okay.
Coach Baldwin was there. He played there. So he was there a long time. He played at Seacrest. So we had those 4, and then Steve Harden was the quarterback coach. Right. And so we had a pretty decent staff, right? Had a pretty decent staff. No nonsense. But I learned a lot from Coach Wilder. I learned about leadership under Coach Wilder. You know, being his quarterback, you know, he would challenge me, man. And he would push me. And he taught me to lead by example. And so he wanted me to always be out front. And so I learned that from him. And I went to Florida State, man, as a freshman. The first drill we did, Cho, I went straight to the front of the line.
Okay.
And them seniors jumped on me, man. Freshman, get your butt back here. Get your butt way back.
Yeah.
I didn't know any different. I just went to the front of the line. And
did what you were taught.
But then after that year, I started as a sophomore in college. I went to the front of the line. So all right, so baseball at Boca. And then when it came to college, I need to know this for myself.
Okay.
Right. Why University of Florida?
Well, that was law school. That was on the backside. That wasn't undergraduate. Okay. As a Seminole, I bet you did want to know that. Okay.
I want to know.
So I actually, Bobby, started out where here's a story you probably don't know. So my last year of high school, Boca High was a pretty big school back then, 6A. And we played a lot of smaller schools when they would come down for spring break because everybody couldn't play University of Miami or those schools. So there was an NAIA school called Cumberland College in Williamsburg, Kentucky.
Okay.
It came down and scrimmaged us. And I pitched that day, right? And so I had a good outing. And when I got home, the baseball coach was at the house. Wow. And back then, they didn't give a whole lot of baseball scholarships, but he said, I'll give you an academic scholarship.
Okay.
And my mother said, they offering money? Okay, that's where you're going to
You
school.
going? It
Sight,
is.
sight unseen.
Hey, yeah, I did.
Sight unseen.
We
'Cause
got to visit.
when
We got to visit.
I got there to school was maybe like 1,200 students. It was a Christian school. You had to go to convocation every day.
Wow.
They
Okay.
did room check. You got demerits, and at that time, that was a season in my life where I was actually running from God. God had put the plate right in front of me,
Yeah.
and after a year, I said, "No, I can't do this." And my
Can't
dream
do
had
that.
always wanted to go to Howard, and I said,
Right.
"I'll pay for my own education." I'm headed to DC to
I'm
go to
in
Howard.
DC. Right. Right.
So it was actually after I went to Howard was so Florida gave me
Right.
money for a ride. That's why.
Right.
Yeah. But here's what I do remember
Uh-huh.
when I got there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Bob Hugo was quarterbacking,
Okay.
and the other kid, and what the first year I got there, they went 0-10-1, and y'all beat us about 49-0.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
then the next year, y'all man, y'all beat us about 120. It was. Hey, I was bragging on you, even though even though I was trying.
You gotta find something, right?
Yeah, I had to find solace somewhere, and because Spencer was there, and I
Spencer
was
was
in
there,
school, so
right?
Spencer would bring a lot of his buddies over,
Right.
and
Right.
guys like Doug Kellum,
Yeah.
Wilbur Marshall, those guys would come over from
Right.
time to
Right.
time.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, man,
Yeah.
they were not. That was not a good season to be Florida football. That was Charlie Pell.
Well, it's amazing, right? Because I remember, they recruited me, and they recruited me to
Okay,
play quarterback. Believe
gotcha.
it or not.
Okay.
Well, that's what they were telling me, right?
Right. Exactly.
So
They told a lot of them that.
they told a lot of them that. So I never forget it, man, because Kevin Logan, played
Okay.
at Florida,
Yep.
played
Yep.
linebacker at Florida. And so one day in the summer, we were in there working out, and he asked me, he said, "Man, what are you gonna do?" And I told him, I said, "I want to come to Florida, right?" Because I said they're gonna give me a chance to play quarterback. Man, he pulled me outside the locker room, Kevin Logan, and he said,
Okay.
they're not gonna let you play quarterback.
Right.
He said, "I'm just telling you right now." He said, "If you still want to come, but you forget playing quarterback. They're not going to give you the opportunity." So he was so sincere in what he said. I
Right.
just dropped it. And but I did love Coach Bowden. When I met him the first time, man, I felt my heart connect with him. I couldn't explain it, because we only won 5 games the year before I got there. And before that, I think the previous 3 years, they only won like 4 games.
Okay.
So Florida State was like, as far as football is concerned, was nothing. But when I signed, I never forget. I got the schedule, right?
Okay.
Looking at the schedule, right? So I'm trying to figure out who we can beat, who I think we can beat, and who I think we're going to lose to. So we had Oklahoma State on the roster, and Terry Miller,
right? Oh yeah,
and Earl Campbell were front runners for the Heisman that year.
Okay.
And I saw Terry Miller play, and I go, "Oh man, we ain't gonna be able to beat them, right?"
Right.
So I put an L for that game, and then I looked at the Florida game, and I go, "Man, they got Wes Chandler, they got Willie Wilder, they got Tony Green, they got ML Carr, they had
the Gaffney boys playing too.
About 4 or 5 Gaffney brothers on the team." I said, "Man, we don't stand a chance to win that game, right?" Man, it was unbelievable. And of course, we played that game the last game of the year. But remember, that year, we had a senior-laden team.
Okay.
All right, especially from a defensive standpoint. I mean, we had Bobby Jackson playing corner. We had Nat Terry. We had Mike Kincaid. We had Ira Joe Hunter playing the secondary.
Yep.
I was coming off the bench. And then you had we had the best linebacker in FSU history, Aaron Carter from Eatonville.
Okay.
When I say the best linebacker in Florida State history, to this day, he is still the all-time leading tackler in Florida State history, even with Marvin Jones, even with all those great linebackers, way after him, and Jimmy Higgins. And we had Willie Jones from Miami, who was a great NFL player.
Okay.
So we had some dudes, man. And Ron Simmons was a true freshman.
Yeah.
So Ron was on the line, just giving the center just havoc. He was stronger than the centers. He was bench over 550 when he was 18, and he was running a 4.5 40.
Wow.
So he was a linebacker with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
So he gave offenses a lot of trouble. And we were pretty sound. I mean, we had a lot of speed on defense. And then we did something that nobody was doing in the country at the time. We passed the ball more than we ran the football. And that was a thing that was different. I really believe that put us ahead of most people. And while we were winning at a high rate back then was because everybody in the country was running the wishbone, or they were running the eye, or they were running the veer.
Right.
But we were throwing the ball in the 70s when nobody was throwing the ball.
Because y'all playing dual quarterbacks also at the time.
And
right?
we had a 2-quarterback system
Yeah.
that really worked.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about, it really worked. I mean, so and it wasn't like either one of them were the starters. It just mattered who they called up.
Yeah.
But the whole deal was, if he's not playing well, we're gonna bring in Jimmy Jordan, or we're gonna bring in Wally Woodham, right?
Right.
And I've never seen both those guys have bad games except one game. The last game they played against
Oklahoma.
Right. The first time, both of them didn't have great games. But I mean, it worked for us. I mean, it really worked for us. They were different. Jimmy had a rifle. I mean, Jimmy had that thing coming in there like Doug Williams used to throw that ball.
Okay.
And then Wally was finesse. He had a Joe Montana ball. It was soft.
Gotcha.
But it was there. He was accurate, right? And then we had guys like Jackie Flowers on the outside catching the ball, and Kurt.
What class was Sam Platt in? Was Sam with you?
Sam Platt was in my class.
Okay.
So see, Sam came there as a tailback.
Okay.
And then early on, they moved him to wide receiver, and then at the end, they moved him back. Like my senior year, he was a tailback. Okay. They moved him back to tailback. Sam Platt was a great football player. And so we had some guys, man. And then we had guys like Holmes Johnson from Haines City, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of people forget. People like Mark Lyles. I mean, we had a lot of guys. So, but Florida was loaded too, still with talent. I mean, you think about Chris Collinsworth was on the team.
Right.
You had Spencer.
Tyrone Young.
You had Tyrone Young. And so, I mean, you had some guys, right?
Yeah,
you had some guys out there. And Tyrone Young, what was he, about 6'6"?
6'6", yep. They
had
David Little playing middle linebacker.
Yeah, David Little playing. See, David was my boy. I mean, he
okay.
Me and David was talking about going to the same college.
Okay.
Right? Because we played in the high school all-star game together, and we just hit it off, man. Me and David hit it off, and so it's just tough that he went too soon.
Yeah, he did.
He went too soon, man. Okay. All right, so baseball was your game. And so now let the folks know you're living in Oklahoma.
Yep.
How do you get to Oklahoma, and what are you doing now?
Okay, so I got to Oklahoma I moved here in 1992 with Seagate. And at the time I moved here with Seagate, I was overseeing, because we had a plant in Delray, and they moved me here to Oklahoma City, and then I oversaw all of the customer support distribution worldwide. Okay. So locations in Amsterdam, locations in Singapore, Malaysia, Mexico, and here. And I did that so it got to where I was traveling so much, I was spending more time almost out of the country than in the country. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And I decided to step away. And I actually went to go work for a startup that was doing a cochlear implant device. And through that process, I started attending this small church that was at the time that was called Life Covenant Church, which is now known as Life Church, and is the founder of the Bible app. And I've been on that staff for 18 years doing various things. And now what I do is lead logistics. So why God took a person like me and threw me in an environment like this, I don't know. But I'm definitely humble and grateful. Yes. And when I look back, Bobby, at the experiences that God put me in front of, put you in front of, we didn't know why he put the people in front of us that he put in us at the time, but it was just to prepare us for doing work for his kingdom.
Amen. Amen. I mean, that's it, for his glory.
No doubt about it.
For his glory. It was amazing when I talk about Coach Bowden in particular. When I left home, I never knew what had really attracted me to him. I was far away from God at that time, right? Right. But it was something about him, and later on I picked it up. He was a lot like my dad, right?
Right. Okay.
Always cracking jokes, always funny, always keeping you going, but a strong man of God.
No doubt.
And so what he did. But growing up in a church as a kid, when you're a PK, when you're a pastor's kid, your whole life is centered around church.
Right.
And all I wanted to do as a kid was go outside and hang out and play ball, right?
Sure.
And so I couldn't just do what I wanted to do,
Right.
with a father at home and a father that's in the ministry.
Right.
And then, we went to St. Paul and Me, which was our home church in Delray. And then from that, my dad got his first church assignment in Jupiter.
Okay.
Right? And so now the African American community in Jupiter at the time was more like a farming community.
Okay.
There were no paved roads.
Wow.
They were all dirt roads. Everybody had chickens. All right. So even for me, a little Delray boy,
Right.
I still consider myself a beach kid, right?
Sure, no doubt.
You go to Jupiter, right up the road, and we're like that. And his first church assignment was in an old condemned house.
Wow.
It had holes in the floor. We had to, and so I'm a kid. I'm like, well, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, right? And so God had his plan. And so growing up in a home and everything my dad had to do, from Sunday school convention to anything the church was involved with, the whole family was involved with. And so church was most of my life, even then. And so when I left to go to college, I said to myself, I don't have to do this no more, right? I don't have to be the church every time the church door opened.
Sure.
But the scriptures is plain. You train up a child in the way he should go.
No, yes.
When he is old, he will not depart from it.
That's right.
So I go to Florida State, and our first week of practice as a freshman, Saturday practice, Coach Bowden got everybody together. He said, all right, boys, tomorrow we're not going to practice tomorrow. And everybody's like, thank God. He said, but I want you to put on your best clothes because I'm going to pick y'all up on the bus. At this time, we're going to church tomorrow. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, right? Yeah. We're not going to just sleep in. We're going to church tomorrow. And so, that's how it was with him. Any opportunity that he had to take us to church, he did that. Yeah, and cool. So we had a lot of Italian boys on the team, from up north. Right. And so he would alternate. 1 week we'll go to Mass, and 1 week we'll go to First Baptist of Tallahassee.
Okay. So
he alternated that way. And I fell in love with Mass because, you're in there, you're out of there. Right?
You're in and out. That's right. Yeah.
You're in and out. Yeah. And so he was that guy. And then he also opened up the FCA program at FSU. We didn't have one before he got there. Okay. And so I would go in there, man, just hanging out with my friends.
Sure.
Not understanding the word seed, the watering, the whole part of that seed plant and harvest was going on in my life, Sure. And then I came to Atlanta. In my third year, I surrendered my heart to the Lord in 1983, but the Spirit of God was drawing me. And so I went to a FCA meeting in West Palm Beach, and Coach Bowden was a keynote speaker.
Wow.
And he introduced me because I used to go to the FCA, and I never got in trouble. I was always, well-behaved in college. Gotcha. I wasn't like everybody else, right? Gotcha. I did what I was asked to do, that kind of thing. And I was trying to be a leader. And so I always did what was right. And so he introduced me in front of all those people as a fine Christian boy.
Okay, awesome.
And I have not surrendered my heart to the Lord. And so, but that night, the Spirit was drawing me, right? Okay. And so I said that night, when I get back to Atlanta, when I go to church, I'm going to walk down that aisle and give my life to the Lord, not knowing that really I surrendered my heart that night.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, and the rest is history. And so, and then from that, Cho, what I've been doing my whole life as a football player, you get opportunities to speak to people.
Sure.
And so kids or banquets, anywhere, wherever you go, your testimony should follow you.
Yeah.
All right. And so I've always been that guy, and then became the leader, the spiritual leader in our locker room with the Falcons. I was a locker room preacher, man.
Gotcha.
You have to hear Dion talk about those days. Because I wasn't playing with him. Cho, I wasn't playing with him, Cho. I wasn't playing with him, man. I was not playing with him. But anyway, but you just think about all that and how God brought us all back to where,
sure,
how we were trained as kids.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I was about to say. The sports was just a conduit to really get us back to glorifying him.
It's just
No
kind
doubt.
of, Coach Bowden always talked about faith, family, and football. And I'll be honest with you, you hear that all your life, but it wasn't until he passed that it really hit me.
Okay.
Because his whole life was about God.
Yes, it was.
His whole life. I mean, when you think about when someone asked him about him as a coach, he never said a curse word in his life, at least not around me, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not around the team. I mean, he had his own words, like that gummit.
Yeah.
Right. So he was not that kind of guy, and his staff couldn't do it, which is unheard of in the game, right?
You're right.
So he wouldn't allow that. But they coached us hard. I mean, they pushed us, they coached us, and they got on us. And but his priority was seeking ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness.
I read his autobiography, and he talked about he never started a coach's meeting without prayer, and he'd pick a different coach to pray. He said because if the meeting started to pray, even though it may get contentious during the meeting, it was going to always work its back to where it needed to be because it started with God.
So we pray. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy that I played for, and bruh. And so for me to go there, like when I talked with Van and Johnny, because Van, Johnny, and I think it's
Bernard Hay. It was Bernard Hay.
Bernard Hay. We all went on the official trip to Michigan State. I was with them.
Okay.
Right. And it was a great trip because we met Magic, because Magic was in our class, right?
Okay, yeah.
Magic and Jay Vincent had just won the state title in basketball in Michigan, at East Lansing, out of East Lansing High School, Everett High School. And we met, and it was a great time. Randy Franklin was going to school up there.
Yeah, sure was.
Our homeboy. And so it was like, but man, I saw that white snow. I'm like, ain't no way in the world. Well, we were up there in January. We were up there January.
I was a recruiting mistake.
Listen, of 1977, which was at the time maybe the coldest year.
That was a bad winter. Yeah,
that was a bad winter because it snowed in Delray.
Yeah, that was a bad winter.
January. So I'm like, man, there's no way in the world I'm coming up here. No way in the world. But anyway, it was a great experience, and
that's awesome.
But Coach Bowden, it was really the connection I had with him that really drew me in. It had nothing to do with wins and losses.
Right.
So I appreciate the kids today. I mean, if when you go to the school that you should go to, your heart should say something to you.
Sure.
Your heart should speak. Well, man, appreciate you being on the show, man.
Hey,
we gotta come back. You know what we need to do?
What?
I need to get you, Joe Chaney, Butterbean. I need to get the crew on.
Okay, let's do it.
We need to get the crew on and just have a good time, man.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I look forward to it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. If you like the show, comment, share it with your friends. This is the Legend segment of 100 Yards of Football. I'm your host, Bobby Butler, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, John Davis.
Peace, brother.
Being with us tonight.